The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
My name is Jasmine, and I am a recovering drug addict.
My name is Richie Farrell, aka the Old White Junkie.
And we are your hosts for Exit Team Nashua.
Our mission is to bring recovery into the living room.
Last year, over 72,000 Americans died of an accidental overdose.
That's almost 200 Americans every single day.
We will bring you guests with real-life experiences with addiction and recovery. Welcome to Exit Team Nashua. Hi, welcome to Exit Team Nashua. My name is Jasmine, and I am your host. Really grateful to be here today. Second show since we're back in studio. It has been a challenging couple of months, not just for me, but for the entire world, with everyone trying to maneuver through COVID and all that's going on with that. We had to step out of the studio for a couple of months, and we were still able, and we were fortunate to bring shows through Zoom, but there is nothing like an in-studio show. The energy, the connection, and there's just something about being here that really allows people to be vulnerable and expose themselves and everything that they've been through, and most importantly, the hope that they have to offer. So I'm grateful to be back here in studio. I'm grateful to have all of you and to be with all of you, and thank you all for joining us. I love that you share your time with us. It's beautiful. I know that time is a gift, so thank you for being here with us. I never know what's going to happen. We don't have agendas. We don't have topics. We don't like think about anything. We go in and we say whatever's meant to be will be. And so today we have Jess. Hi, Jess. Welcome.
Thank you.
Have you ever been on a TV show before?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
So you chose your very first TV show to come on and bear your ugly addiction.
Yes. I mean, just put it all out there. Why not?
Yeah. All right, cool. So you want to get right to it?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about you.
So I was born and raised in Massachusetts.
Okay.
I'm a mom. I have 2 kids. Good family. Both my parents still together. Younger sister. Family definitely important growing up. Always like go-getter, like on the run, like let's go. Like, I like to make people happy, make people laugh. So just kind of always flown by the seat of my pants. Not always a good thing, but just huge people person. Always wanted to be there for others.
So like what happened? Like when did you, okay, let's go here. When did you start using in life?
I was 12 years old when I took a first drink.
Okay.
Smoked weed. That's how it all started.
For you, did it like skyrocket immediately, or were you like someone that like...
It was pretty gradual. It wasn't like crazy right off the bat. It was just, like had friends that parents worked second shift. So when we were home from school, there was a house to go to and you'd use some of their liquor and fill the bottle up with water so that their parents don't know. So it was like an after school activity.
Except people probably know when the bottle's filled with liquor.
Yes. I'm sure.
So were you like, so how old were you when you were doing that? Like high school or?
Yeah, I mean, it was right off the bat in like junior high, I'd say.
Okay.
Drinking and smoking.
Okay.
Which then, it just progresses. Mescaline and acid became a huge thing through high school, ecstasy.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like a lot of psychedelics through high school, and like the uppers. I had close friends in high school that started experimenting with like heroin. I like being a people person. I'm like the caretaker.
Mm-hmm.
So my mentality at that age was, you're going to go down, so I'm going to go up so that I can like assess the situation and make sure everybody's okay. So like Coke was a big thing for me in high school, just because my boyfriend at the time was using heroin along with close friends, and I dealt with loss at a young age, so that paranoia of always losing somebody it's just always been in me to make sure that I'm doing what I want to do, but I was always making sure I was in a frame of mind where I could make sure everybody else was okay at the same time.
So, before you ever like picked up a drink or a drug, like was there like anything in your life that like you were uncomfortable with, that you were running from? I mean, like for me, it's pretty easy, but there were like people who didn't have anything. Like I'm a
Right.
severe trauma survivor, so like, dude, alcohol and drugs were my solution. They were
Mhm.
my solution to everything.
Yeah. So I didn't really acknowledge that this was like such a big thing until like more recently, like going through recovery, like in treatment myself. My sister, I was 3 when my sister was born, and when my mom had her, they found out she had like this rare form of cancer. I don't even know the name of it to this day.
Yeah.
So she was in the hospital. I just remember, like, I don't remember a lot. I remember the sicko sign when my dad get home from work because he'd pick me up, and the sicko sign made me like know we were close to the hospital to see my mom. My sister was obviously an infant, and a few of my grandmothers, my great grandmother, like always at the house. So it was like them during the day, and then my dad at night. And I remember going to the hospital. And it's like I don't remember like specifics about that, but like working on a relationship with my mom today is like important to me because I never really had that.
Yep. Okay.
I just never had that connection. And I definitely think like it played a part in just not feeling connected, not feeling like always accepted at home. Like there was just something in me that I just always wanted to do my own thing. Like, you know, my sister was the athlete and got the good grades, and I was pushing boundaries and getting in trouble. And it was like, that's what I wanted to do to get a reaction. Like it was always like negative attention. Like I liked the chaos of my parents being like frustrated with me.
I get that.
Yeah.
I literally get that. Like I remember in school, like guidance counselors would always like tell me like you have so much potential, but like yet I was always in trouble. I was always involved in drama. I like I work in treatment now, and I like always tell the guys like stay away from the girls. They're drama. Drama, drama, drama. And that was me. And I know that because that was my experience and that was my truth.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I love chaos.
Yeah. So in high school, your disease, it sounds like your disease started progressing in a couple different ways. Like losing identity of self to take care of others, right? And so like really what I'm hearing is like you just like you live to like take care of others and help others, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And and then you also started like experimenting and expanding with drug use.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I went to a couple different high schools. I, got expelled from one for drugs.
It's so great. I mean, well, I knew you when you first got sober, so I could see you doing that back then, but like knowing that the woman that you are now, you know, I am like blown away the growth that you had. Because when you first got sober, you were exactly what you described, chaos, pushing boundaries, and like, I get to like have a lot of interactions with you today, and I go home and like I reflect on that, and I'm like, dude, you are literally not even, you are the same person, but you're not even the same woman. Like you are the exact, what is the word I'm looking for? You're what happens when someone recovers. Because like you show up and like you kick butt at life. Like so you probably don't even realize this, but like I sit back some days and like I watch you like bopping all around and taking care of X, Y, and Z and getting everything done. And like you're so responsible and how you carry yourself and like the presence that you have too. I'm like, that is not the same Jess. You're not the same Jess that you were almost a year ago.
And I feel that. Like I know. Like it's funny like talking about like whether I'm, doing commitment or just sharing a story with like a friend and I'm like it's like I can't make this up, but like really like I was this person, and I genuinely know and I'm happy with the fact that like I'm not that anymore. Like, and I know how like different it is. Like it's surreal.
Yeah.
It's really surreal.
You're definitely not the same person. So things started getting like progressively worse for you like around high school. Like when did you have kids? So
things were like pretty bad like the end of high school, year after high school. And And I met my ex-husband at 19, and he was just like, it was a different life. Like, there was still drinking and smoking, but like the hard stuff wasn't around, and it was kind of like safe, because I knew like it was just like getting worse and worse. And like I took that relationship as like a safe place. And so we were together for a few years. I got pregnant at 22, had her at 23. We got married and then had my son 5 years later. I laugh about it now because like going back, like using hard drugs before in high school and then being a mom, and then, you know, divorce comes and other stuff comes and I end up back to the hard stuff. And if you had asked me when I first went to treatment, I was sober for 14 years because my daughter was 14 when we separated. And I wasn't. Like, I thought I was because I was drinking and smoking and, like, you know, pills, the socially acceptable things. But, like, that was my mentality. It was like I was doing stuff that, like, other moms were doing or other people, like, didn't look down on. So to me, I was, like, an outstanding, fantastic, sober mom.
Yeah, if I'm not shooting dope, I'm doing okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So
why did you, if things were okay and you were sober for 14 years, why did you go to treatment?
So I did get separated and ended up getting divorced. It was mutual. That wasn't like a traumatizing thing for me. The going from being pretty much a stay-at-home parent and having my kids all the time and responsibility for them is what I spiraled out of control. We agreed on 50-50 custody, and I suddenly went from having to pick them up or drop them off or just be responsible for them to having like 3.5 days out of the week that I didn't have them, and I didn't have those responsibilities, and I was able to go to work but still do what I wanted. And, you know, I started hanging out with people that the type of people that I would used to hang out with. Like, I just very quickly unraveled back to what I used to do. And I personally feel like that was me just like running from the situation way back when I was 19. Like, I never really like coped or dealt with like leaving those friends, and like, you know, the boyfriend from high school overdosed, and like, you know, like lost a lot of those friends. And it was like when I had all this time and no structure other than work, it was like I was reaching back for like those things. I call it childhood still, because to me I was still a child. So it was like I was clinging to those things because I got in a relationship and got married and had kids and just like changed my life completely.
You just covered them, but you never healed them, so they were still there.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was like I was still like yearning for those things. Like I didn't run my 20s like some people run their 20s, like whether it's college or, you know, just social or living with a friend or anything like that. And it was just like I took that opportunity even at, you know, 37 years old, and was like, now's my time.
I'm gonna go.
Let's do this. So
Okay.
yeah.
And so what happened?
I've always been into opiates, like pill wise, like Percocet wise, like that's like my disease. Like looking at it now, like when my daughter was like 6, 5, I like intentionally was like, I'm gonna get my tonsils out because they're gonna give me a prescription. Like that's where my head was at. I know, dude, it's wild, but like that's where my head was at, and it was like because
it was like never mind.
No, I know.
Probably Perk 5s, but
yeah, no, nothing exciting. Those went very quickly, but still, it's like I always had that. Like I love the feeling of opiates. So I was able to get pills, and eventually that becomes hard,
away.
And you know, it's cheaper. And the one drug that I said I'd never do because I lost so many people to it, eventually, you know, it took over.
And so, like, what? Because the Jess that I know and that I get to experience on an almost daily basis is a completely different person. Like, what happened in your life to like bring you to have this change?
So I knew things were out of control a year ago. Like I deep down knew, but I was still getting up and going to work. It was like one thing was good, but one thing was bad. Like I was losing my apartment and I was moving in with my parents, but I was still going to work. And like I was still getting a new job with like more money and like more responsibility. So it's like wherever there was a low, like I could find that high. So to me, I was still functioning and I was okay. But the reality of it now is like I wasn't. Like I was scrounging money. I was using child support money. I was lying to my ex-husband for reasons why like I couldn't have the kids on my nights, and where I was and what I had to do, and getting money from him however I could. And eventually I tried the Suboxone clinic last summer, and it didn't work out. It worked out for a couple weeks. I thought I could do that for a while, and then I realized I could piss dirty there, and they'd still give me my prescription. So there was a day, Friday night, I dropped my kids off with their dad for the weekend, and I used. And then the next morning, I had no money and I had no more dope. So I took a sub because in my head, I'm already dope sick. Like, it hasn't even been 12 hours, but like my head's like, here we go. This is the end of the world. And like, I was like, okay, well, let's do the Suboxone thing again. So I took a strip and that didn't help. So I took another strip. And then I was able to get some money. So I was like, this isn't working. Long story short, I put myself in precipitated withdrawal.
Fun.
On the highway. I don't remember getting to the emergency room. I remember driving to meet my dealer and thinking I'm going to pass out. I'm sweating. I'm a mess. I feel awful. And I just remember thinking I'm going to pass out. And I woke up in the emergency room. I called 911 on myself. I pulled my car over on the highway and told them like the closest mile marker. Like these all things that it's like still to this day, it's not clear.
God.
Yeah. And that he's somebody with so much loss in my life that I've always struggled with. And it was kind of like that moment that I was just like, there's something bigger than me. And like, obviously I didn't want to go to detox or treatment right away, but like, I fought it for weeks, but I know that like, that was my bottom. Like I couldn't go pick my kids up that weekend because my mom was dropping me off at detox.
Yeah.
It was just, life was just not okay for me anymore.
So do you still have a relationship like with your children?
So I don't communicate with my son.
Okay.
I stalk him on TikTok.
Okay. Oh.
He loves TikTok.
Yeah.
I communicate with my daughter just like through text and like social media. She's older. She's 17. So, I mean, she's 17, he's 12. So they know.
Yep.
They know the gist of it, like my daughter's growing up in the middle of it all. It's everywhere. And so they're not ready to see me yet.
Yep.
But I communicate pretty regularly with my ex-husband, and he showed up and never looked back when he found out what was going on.
Wow.
And I'm super grateful for that because that.
So he's become like a friend.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You don't hear that very often.
No, not at all. There's still moments, and I know he questions it. Like I talked to him yesterday because he'll like check in with my son weekly, like how you feeling about maybe seeing mom soon. And he's like, did he see any? He's like, he still says he's not ready. I didn't know if maybe he saw something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he saw me, like depressed and in bed and not motivated to do anything. I'm like, I don't think it's specifically anything he saw, like just from like being in treatment myself and like working with a therapist and stuff, and knowing all the times now that I have to walk through fear, like everything's fear-based.
Right.
And I genuinely think that's where he's at right now. And I practice acceptance every day. I keep the prayer in my wallet, and because that's my biggest thing right now is accepting that when I'm meant to like have that like in-person relationship with my kids again, I will.
What a hard thing to hand over.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and that literally takes nothing but faith and trust, because you're gonna hand your relationship with your children. I mean, like as women, like that's what we are created for, to procreate and raise and take care of children. It's like embedded in who we are,
right?
And so, wow.
Yeah, I mean that was my try to get out of jail card.
Yeah.
In treatment at the beginning, it was like, I gotta go home.
Which brings up a great point for like all the moms watching that are suffering, for all the family that are watching and like they don't know how to help their daughter, and their daughter like has children. Like you can't get sober for your children. I mean, like, I know women that like went to treatment because they wanted, but like the actual like getting well, like, is got to come like internally.
So can I share something
Yeah.
with that? So they were my reason. I'll do this for the kids. And like I heard that from my mom and my sister, like, you're a mom, like, you can't be a drug addict, you're gonna be a mom. And like I know they don't mean it like with like harm.
Right.
Like I understand what
Yeah.
they're saying now.
Yep.
But that was like my mentality. It was like, okay, I'll do this for the kids. So I went to treatment in September, and then in treatment I had a friendship with another guy in treatment, little like similar age. His kids were younger than mine, but just like great guy, just wanted to get this, just wanted to get it right, just wanted to go back to his kids. And we were outside on a smoke break one day. It was a Friday, and we were talking, and he's like, I'm going to leave today. And so AMA, because he's, it's not time for him to go yet. And I'm like, why are you going to do that? And he's like, Jess, I just want to see my kids. And I was still like early, like it'd been like a month. So I'm like, I get that. Like if I had the opportunity to just hop in my car right now and go see them, like I get that.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't argue with him. Like I didn't say anything. You get the whole block the AMA person, the whole thing going on at the center all day. But like, I was like, he just wants to see his kids. And so he went home that Friday afternoon, and he had them Saturday night. And he actually overdosed, and he died on Sunday. Hearsay through like family, like he had them Sunday night, and he hadn't seen them in 70 something days. Like they wouldn't go to bed, and like, like he went home thinking he was ready,
Right,
for the kids.
Because the delusion, and like, I will give you every reason in the world, and in that moment I think it's true. But like the thing that like myself as the sufferer, as the addict, does not have the awareness is that persistent and reoccurring thought wins out.
Yeah.
I will look you dead in the eyes, and I will tell you, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. I don't mean, and I literally would like look my mom and my dad in the eyes and tell them like, I'm not going to go use. And I meant it, and I didn't want to hurt them. And then I'm getting high, and no one hates me more for it than me.
Right.
And
so I used him. He's a huge part of my story now.
Wow.
Because that hit me. Like that was like the first person like that I was in treatment with, that I met like in this, world. And it hit me hard, and it was hard. But that's what I take away from losing him, was that was like his message. Like, you've got to do this, but you've got to do it for yourself. Like, my kids are not going to keep me sober.
And with such a hard concept for moms and dads to grab,
Right.
they're not. Like, if you suffer from what I suffer from, like, no outside force is going to keep me sober. Believe you me, I tried it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
yeah. So I do. I use that when I do commitments and I share my story now. Like, that's a huge part of my story.
What a power of
it was
example.
a huge eye opener for me. Like, they're not going to keep me sober. They could be my motivation, but they can't be my reason.
Right. Yeah. What a huge power of example for so many. And I see so many women really suffer and struggle with surrendering that peace.
Yeah.
Wow. If you haven't already, you're going to be able to help a lot of women. I'm not a mom.
Yeah.
And so I am a recovered drug addict. And so I get to help women with that. And I can sit here and I can sympathize with women for being a mom and like what they're going through. But like, and I can only imagine what it's like to be a mom. Like you know what that's like. And you can literally hold a woman's hands through that and like, know, like, you've got this, and you have to trust that your kids are going to be okay. And like, you need to give that a little break for now.
Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to do. Whether it's, I work in treatment now, and I'm at...
What?
Yeah, I know.
You work in treatment? I feel like you were the biggest nightmare in treatment.
I was. I'm sorry. I lost my water bottle privileges. I don't know if you remember. Throwing it across the wall. They gave me a styrofoam cup and told me that's all I was allowed the rest of the time.
And now you work in treatment.
I know.
Right?
I work in treatment, and I'm a huge part of the community.
Yeah. I know a lot of women that look up to you.
Really?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
It's good to know. It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Because that's like...
You help a lot of women.
And that helps me. And that's something. So my uncle's in recovery. He was, him and my dad were the two that showed up at the emergency room last year. and he's got a little over 4 years now, and that's something he's always told me is helping others helps me. Like, he had to go back to work on methadone mile and see it every day, you know, and even if it's like, hey, there's this meeting tonight, like, it's just those little things that if you can put it out for somebody else, whether they accept it or not, you know, and those things definitely do. They help me every day.
Yeah. Service work, I think, is what many of us were called to do with our lives.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because you think, like, oh, well, like, if I have to do service work, like, I'm never going to do anything or get anywhere. No, because we're selfish and self-centered to the core, right? So we make everything about us. But the craziest thing is, like, I get up every morning and I ask God to take me out of this and, like, use me as your vessel. And, like, and I do, and I humbly pray from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, with doing that and attempting to be obedient to my God of my understanding, my God's just love. God just wants me to show up and love everyone. That's all my God wants me to do. My life is really badass.
Yeah.
You know, like, God's given me way more than I could have ever asked for.
Yeah.
You know?
And I did learn that. Like, it took me a while to, like, really accept that. And I know it's hard for a lot of people to accept that, you know, there's something out there.
I used to, like, resent people that talked about God because I grew up in an abusive home with an abusive God. And then I realized, like, no. Like, my God is instilled inside of me. And, like,
Right.
I feel a lot of power from the heart and love.
Right.
And I'm just like, that's my God.
Yeah.
That's when I feel God, when I'm genuinely connected with someone, when I'm loving on someone, when someone's so broken in front of me. And, like, all I can do is just pour my heart out to them when I'm so broken and just crying and, like, someone, you know what I mean? Those random acts of kindness, like, that's God to me, you know?
Yeah.
But I grew up hating God.
Yeah.
And now today it's like all I talk, and people think, like, I'm so religious and, like, whatever people, like, works for them.
Right.
I'm just over here, like, meditating and, like, crystals and, like, I love y'all and that works for me.
Yeah.
You know, time flies.
Yeah, it does.
Show's over.
That's crazy.
What? Cool. It was great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
For anyone suffering, this is your camera. Anyone suffering, what do you want to say to them?
Don't give up. It's, you know, took me 20 something years, but it's never too late. And if you can just, my biggest thing is pause. If I can take a step back and pause and look at the bigger picture, and just reach out to my higher power and, you know, have him show me the way that, you know, it's one day at a time. And that's how we have to live, is just one day at a time.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks.
Yes, it was great. Thank all of you for joining us. Anyone that's watching, please go to our Facebook page. I am a heroin addict, and give it a like. Follow us. Lots of resources available for you. If you're suffering, if anyone you know is suffering, you need to talk to someone. I don't really care what kind of help you need. It doesn't even have to be geared towards substance use disorder. We are plugged into a plethora of resources. Please reach out to us on our Facebook page, I am a heroin addict, and message us, and we will respond to you and do what we can to assist you. Thank you all, and I love you all.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.